got it. Okay, so what does it say that it's live streamed? Meeting is now streaming on YouTube. Okay. I didn't see where it is. Oh, okay, I do see it. Why is it not showing? Because it's a delay for 30 seconds. Okay, so it will show in 30 seconds. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Right. So I did not set the topic. I just felt like we haven't done it for a while and we should discuss a couple of things. So I wanted to perhaps ask first of all, Artyom, you just said that you were separated the state into two tables in Akula. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I have separated the two, so now accounts are in a separate account table, storage is in a separate storage table, and the whole code that interacted with the former plain state table, it just got a lot simpler because I don't have to do the special matching now, basing on the key, like what did I get now? Is it account or is it state? Because like all the patterns of access, they are pretty much deterministic. Like that is, whatever any code in say execution or intermediate hashes, for example, it accesses the plain state. It always knows what it wants. Like it always wants either account or storage. It's not like get either one of them. So the whole code got a lot simpler. And the KB interface will get much simpler now. So because I can now finally remove this whole concept of fused values that was only necessary to cover like this dependency of value type on what the key is. So I'm going to remove that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I guess this should be done in Silkworm and Erigon eventually.
I wanted to ask you, so you also said that the root hash matches. Does it mean that you also updated the code that calculates the root hash and updates intermediate hashes?
Well, it was pretty much a mechanical change. Like the whole change took like 5 minutes to make because everything is typed in Akula. So all access to tables, it's typed. So it's the KB interface, it uses generics, and each table is a separate type. And depending on the table type, you get a different type of key and different type of value. So when I split the table in two, I got immediately like 50 compiler errors from Rust. So I just fixed those compiler errors and just set up the sync overnight. And when I came back in the morning, it was just syncing just fine.
Okay, and just for my understanding, so for the implementation, I suppose, that Johan did for the intermediate hashes, does this use also the same sort of table structure as an Erigon, or does it use something else, or it's not persisting anything?
I'm not sure like what the differences are. Like it does persist. It does use ETL for persisting. I'm not sure if they're like identical because I never really dug into intermediate hashes either in Erigon or into Johan's work, to be honest.
Okay. Because I think the intermediate hashes do have two separate tables, and you know they are already separated. And I think the hash state is also separated. And
yes.
And Andre, you when you did this in Silkworm, did you try to produce the same tables as well for intermediate hashes?
Yeah, so I followed the database structure of Erigon for intermediate hashes. It should be the same, but I haven't verified like on real data that it's exactly the same. But in principle, it should be. As to splitting plain state, I think it's a good idea, especially if we get rid of incarnations, then because then like right now, I think we use for storage, it's the key is account address plus incarnation, right? So if we drop incarnations, then it will be difficult to differentiate between storage keys and account keys. So splitting the table makes sense.
Yeah, so what I can say about the work for Erigon 2 that I'm trying to prototype. So there, of course, as was suggested, I have implemented only the plain state right now, but without incarnations. So it does work so far, and then it looks. I mean, I'm actually kind of running this prototype through the history at the moment, and I think it's currently at the block 5.3 million. And when I did so it does spend some time on generating those book state files, and I'm monitoring it. And I did to try to profile it as well between these big creations of the files, which will eventually can be done in parallel. But I noticed that, to my kind of my excitement, I noticed that the time required to access those state files are actually quite small. They're pretty insignificant. It seems to me that the idea that having those files with indices and with the what's they call the perfect hashing actually works pretty well. So it's really less than that. It's like 0.8% of time actually spent on that, and most of the time is actually not most, but a lot of times is actually spent in accessing the recent data from MDBX, and also on lots of different garbage collection things. But with the it is already separated. So in my prototype, the storage and accounts are separated, and also it doesn't have incarnation. And when so currently I need to add the intermediate hashes into it, and this is where I'm kind of procrastinating a bit. That's why I created a live stream, because it's like one of the things that you do when you procrastinate. But I will try to do this intermediate hashes thing, but and we'll see. But one of the things I'm trying to do as well is to make it a bit more, I suppose, generic, and that's why I could try to share something with you that I'm also writing. 1 second.
I simplified, well, at least how I understand it, I simplified the intermediate hashes algorithm very slightly, though, in Silkworm, but I haven't tested it fully. It should work, but it's still like the conceptually the high-level algorithm is rather simple. The intricacies in that is in the cursor that traverses the dry table.
I do not know how to. Oh, actually, I think Andrei, because now you're the host. Do you know how to enable the screen sharing or host? Or might.
Don't you have like the share screen button at the bottom?
Okay. Well, okay. So I'm now the host. Sorry. Yeah, I do have a button, but it's for some reason it only allows the host to do this.
I have a question. Is it possible to store? So we have what's called zero-less storage of storage values, but not zero-less storage of locations of those values, like the keys for each account. So what if we store both as so we cannot store both as zero-less, because like we never know where like the location ends and the value starts, basically in the composite value in the storage table. But what if we use, for example, variable length coding?
But it probably won't save us much, because probably most of the locations are some kind of keys in some kind of maps, and Solidity does this extra hashing which will eliminate pretty much all zeros. I guess for your fixed size variables, maybe it will save a little bit, but I imagine, I'm not sure, but I imagine most of the locations are actually some kind of map keys.
Okay.
So there are basically not that many keys that start with a lot of zeros.
I think not. I think not. But it's better to check, of course.
Guys, I'm gonna do something. 1 second. Where's this thing?